We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Aleph on Meseches Menachos. This is Menachos Daf 31b. This Daf is sponsored by David and Ariella Grossman. Thank you for your sponsorship. If you would like to sponsor an Amar or Daf, see the description box below and see the description box below to see how you can support this channel. On the previous Amar, the Gemara quoted from a Braisa with Rabbi Shimon Shazuri's opinion, and the Gemara asked, is the halacha like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri over here as well? And the Gemara in the previous Amar answered that yes, the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri in the Braisa as well. And on that, Rabbi Chanina Misura had a difficulty that seems obvious. Of course, the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri, because the original statement of Rabbi Chanina, that the halacha is always like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri, was not only in our Mishnah that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri, it's in general. As the Gemara now continues and says, Mika Amar v'Mishnah Seinu, was the statement in our Mishnah, the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri. Kol Makom Sheshana Kamar, the statement was, anytime Rabbi Shimon Shazuri's opinion is taught, the halacha is like him, and so therefore, again, it is obvious that the halacha is like Rabbi Shimon Shazuri here in this Braisa as well. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Zeira, Amar Rav Chananel, Amar Rav. Rav Zeira says that Rav Chananel says that Rav says, Kera haba b'shnei shitin, if it's torn in two rows. Rashi explains, Kera haba b'shnei shitin, im niskara gilyon shel Sefer Torah. We're talking here about the parchment of a Sefer Torah. If it is torn, v'nichnas hakera b'shnei shitin b'soch haksav, and let's say the tear is at the bottom margin, but it goes up two rows into the writing, so yitvar, so then it can be sewn together if it just goes within two rows. This is talking where the tear is not actually torn across a letter that it would ruin a letter. It's torn in the area where there's blank space, but again, it goes up two rows in the column of the Sefer Torah. So b'shnei shitin, if it's in two rows, yitvar, it can still be sewn up, but b'shalosh, but if it already enters three rows, al yitvar, so then it can no longer be sewn. And Rashi explains, b'shalosh al yitvar, ella yisalik asayari. At that point, you have to remove that entire parchment and you have to replace it with another parchment. And the Gemara continues, Amarle Rabba Zuti le Ravashi. Rabba Zuti said to Ravashi, Hachi Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah mi Difti mishmei de Rava. This is what Rabbi Yirmiyah from Difti says in the name of Rava. Hada Amrinan b'shalosh al yitfor. When we say that if it enters three rows, it cannot be sewn up. Lo Amran ela ba'tikta. That's only true by an older cloth, by an older parchment. Aval chadata. But if it's a new one, less lanba, then that is not an issue. And the Gemara continues and explains, V'lo atikta atikta mamish. When we say old, we don't literally mean old. V'lo chadata mamish. When we say new, we don't literally mean new. Ela hada lo afitzan hada afitzan. What we mean by new is a situation where gall nut juice is not yet applied, and when we say it's old, that's a situation where the gall nut juice is applied. And Rashi explains, atikta klaf yoshan, by old parchment, migni akriya, then the tear looks worse. And afitzan have a shachar katika. Again, if gall nut juice is applied, then it gets darker, as if it's old. Afitzan misukan haklaf ba'afatzin shakorn glash. Again, afitzan refers to the fact that the klaf is treated with gall nut juice. And the Gemara continues, V'hani mili begidin, when we say to sew it up, we mean to sew it up with sinews, avol begardin lo, but to use thread, that is not allowed. And Rashi explains, V'hani mili detofer begidin, when we say to sew it up, that's with sinews, yitzfor avolo begardim. Again, you sew it up with sinews, but not with threads. And the Gemara continues, Boy Rav Yehuda Barabba. Rav Yehuda Barabba asks, Bein daf ledaf, let's say it's between columns, or bein shita leshita, let's say it's between lines, mai, so what's the halach in that situation? Rashi explains, Bein daf ledaf im nikra ad keneged haksav, let's say it's torn, but the tear is between columns, but corresponding to the writing of the columns, she'ilu haya bechsav, that if the tear went through the area where the writing was, haya yoser migimel shita, then it would have been more than three rows, uvein shita l'shita, again it's between the lines, im nikra, if it was torn there, yitfor, o lo yitfor, can that be sewn up or not? Again, the Gemara asks, Mai, what is the halach in these situations? And the Gemara says, Teiku, the Gemara leaves this as a question. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Zeiri, Amar Rav Chananel, Amar Rav. Rav Zeiri says that Rav Chananel says that Rav says, Mezuzah shekosva shtayim shtayim. If a mezuzah is written 2-2, kasheira, then it is kosher. And Rashi explains, shtayim shtayim means shitos kitsaros. It means that the lines are very small. Shita shita bashtei tevos. Just 2 words per line. Is that going to be kosher? And again, Rav says kasheira, that is kosher. And the Gemara continues, Iboilahu, they had the following question, Shtayim v'shalosh v'yachas ma. What if the top line is 2 words, and then the next line is 3 words, and then the next line is 1 word? What's the halacha over there? And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak says, Kol shekein sha'asa kashira, certainly that is okay, because that's kashira, that's like a poem is written, and that would be good. Rashi explains, Shtayim bazu, v'gimel bazu, v'alef bazu, mai, again, 2 this line, then 3, then 1. Kol shekein d'ksher, that is certainly kosher, sha'asa kashira, because now it's like a song, it's like a poem. Da'az yosher Moshe sheshita achas arucha, v'shita achas ketzara, she'in memale kol hashita, that's exactly how Az Yosher is written, one line is longer, then one is shorter, it doesn't fill the entire line. But the Gemara continues, Meisvei, we have a question on this from the following Braisa, Asa Kashira, the Braisa says if he makes it like a poem, Oshira Kamosa, or he makes a poem like it, Psula, then it is disqualified. And Rashi explains, Oshira Kamos, if he makes a poem like it, meaning Shekosav Hashira, Keshar Hatevos, let's say in a Sefer Torah, the Shira portion is written like the other lines are written, Ariach al Gabe Ariach, it's written in the normal fashion that we find in a Sefer Torah. And so the Gemara initially understands that this Bryce applies to Mezuzah as well, that again, if it's made Kashira, it's going to be disqualified. But the Gemara continues and answers, Kitanya Ahiba Sefer Torah, this Bryce, it's talking only about a Sefer Torah, it's not talking about a Mezuzah, and therefore it's not a question against what we said above. And the Gemara continues, Itmar Nami was stated as well, Amar Rava bar bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rava bar bar Chana says that Rabbi Yochanan says, V'amri lo, some have the version, Amar Rav Acha bar bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, that Rav Acha bar bar Chana says, that Rabbi Yochanan says, Mezuzah she'asa shtayim v'shalosh v'achas, if a mezuzah is made 2, meaning 2 words to the line, and then 3 words to the line, then 1 word to the line, ksheira, that is kosher, that's okay, uvilvad shelo yasena kakuva, as long as it's not made like a kuva, which means like a tent, uvilvad shelo yasena kizonav, and as long as it's not made kizonav like a tail. And Rashi explains, shtayim shalosh v'achas hainu kashir, if it's made 2, 3, 1, that's like a poem, that's like a song, but shelo yasena kakuva, don't make it kazeh, which would be 1, 2, and 3, ka'oel, like a tent, rachav milmata, v'katzer milmala, what that means is that it's wide on the bottom, it's narrow on the top, tahainu achas shtayim shalosh, that would be 1, 2, 3, that's a problem. And zonav, like a tail, is shalosh shtayim v'achas, that's 3, and then 2, and then 1, kazeh, just like this diagram, that is going to be problematic. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rav Chisda says, Al ha'aretz, the words Al ha'aretz, which are the very end of the mezuzah, Beshita achrona, those are going to go on the last line. Now, Ika di'amri besov shita, some say those words go at the end of the line. Ve'ika di'amri betchilas shita, some say go at the beginning of the line. Man damar besov shita, the one that says that it goes at the end of the line, that's kigavoa shamayim al ha'aretz, that's like the pasuk says, the shamayim is Al ha'aretz, on top of the land. If it's going to be at the end of the line, it's actually going to go right below the words shamayim, and so that's good that the shamayim should be right above the aretz. Umandam rabetchila shita, the one that says that al aretz should go at the beginning of the line, that would be kihechi demerachka shamayim me'aretz. That way, the word shamayim and aretz in the mezuzah are as far away as possible from one another, because shamayim would be at the end of the previous line, and aretz would be at the end of the last line. And Rashi explains, Al ha'aretz b'shita achrona kolomar ein b'shita achrona ella shtei tevos halolu. On the last line, you only have these 2 words, Al ha'aretz. Some say besov shita, at the end of the line. Hayu maschilin l'shita achrona kazem, meaning they would start that line at the end, like this diagram. And some say betchilas shita, that Al ha'aretz is at the beginning of the line. Hayu maschilin l'shita achrona kazem, that it would be again like this diagram going at the beginning. Man damar besov shita, the one that says at the end of the line, kadei sheyu shamayim al ha'aretz, that way the word shamayim is over al ha'aretz, the mashma kedechsiv ki gavoa shamayim al ha'aretz ken yarech yemechem, that would be like the pasuk says, that is a pasuk in Tehillim. Uman damar betchilas shita, the one that says that it's at the beginning of the line, kilomar boy archukei eretz mishamayim, so then we want the word eretz to be distant from the word shamayim. The full pasuk there is kimei hashamayim al ha'aretz, and so if al ha'aretz is at the beginning of the line, kimei hashamayim will be at the end of the previous line. Tahachi mashma, then it would be understood kihechi demerachka shamayim me'aretz, just like shamayim is distant from the aretz, kein yarichu yemechem, so too your days should be long. Again, that's that pasuk over there, leman yirbu yemechem v'mei v'nechem al ha'adam asher nishba Hashem la'avosechem kimei hashamayim al ha'aretz. The context of the pasuk is talking about arichas yamim. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rabbi Chelbo says, Chazino leilu Rav Huna dekarich lo me'echad klape shema, that Rav Huna, when he would wrap the mezuzah, the scroll of the mezuzah, he would wrap it from echad towards the word shema, meaning from left to right. Va'osa parshioseh stumos, and he prepared the parshios in a closed manner, and that means that he started the second passage on the same line where that first passage ended. And the Gemara continues, Meisvei, we have a question from the following Brisa. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar, Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar says, Rabbi Meir hayakosva al duchsustus, Rabbi Meir would write the mezuzah on duchsustus kimin daf, like a column, and Rashi explains, the karach la me'echad klape shema, he rolled it from echad toward shema, le'achar shenichtava, after it was written kofla mitzad smol, he would fold it over from the left side, litzad yamin, and roll it from there towards the right, kishinicha bedelas, when he put it by the door, v'hainu me'echad klape shema, that's what it means from echad towards the word shema, sherosh hashura shema Yisrael, the beginning of the row is Shema Yisrael, v'sofa Hashem Echad, the end is Hashem Echad, v'hischil lekofla me'echad, v'kipel uvat Shema, he would begin the rolling from Echad towards Shema. Duchsustus is klaf shalom niklaf, that refers to klaf, that is just the inner layer of the animal hide, and kimin daf, it was like a column, kimin omud shebesfarim arucho ktsara, it means to say like a column we find in the Sfarim, in the Sefer Torah, long and narrow, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Lamed Beis Amud Aleph.